In Unit 12, Part 3, we're talking about two more types of data, like scatter plots and two-way tables. Scatter plots you've done before, and they're very similar to stuff we've done this year. Two-way tables might be new. So a scatter plot is a graph with points upon that show the relationship between two sets of data. So if you look at our example, they give you a table. Our two sets of data are the number of hours spent studying and then the test rates that go with it. So when we look at one of these tables, the x value is always on the left, the y value is on the right. So each of these is just two coordinates that make it. So we need to put a point at 0, 75, so 0 up to 75, 0.5, 80, 180, 185, 1.585, 1.595, 290, 100, and 490. So then that's our scatter plot. Again, we've done that before, just crafting points. But if you notice, we don't draw a line through them or anything because it's just a scatter plot. The next thing we'll talk about is the different associations we can have. So this ties into what we just did with slope. Okay, so a positive association is going to have this general direction like a positive slope, from lower left to upper right. A negative association is going to be like a negative slope, it's going to go from upper left to bottom right. And then if you look at this one, it's no association because it's kind of just all over the place. So that's just looking at are your two sets of data related. So ours would probably be a positive association. This one, two more things we need to talk about are clusters and outliers. Okay, a cluster is a set of group data. So if you see a bunch of points close to each other, that would be a cluster. And then an outlier is a point that's different from all the rest. And when they say different, they mean very different. So if you look at our example over here, okay, we've got a cluster right here, we've got a cluster right here, and this one point right here would be the outlier. Okay, so we have two different clusters. Looking at the next page, we're going to talk about making a two-way table. Okay, frequency we already talked about when we did histogram. It's just the number of times something happens. And then the two-way table shows frequency in two ways. So, I mean, again, not very creative naming, but we're going to show it in two different ways. So let's look at an example. It says a poll of 120 town residents found that 40% own a bike. Of those who own a bike, 75% shop at the farmer's market. Of those who do not own a bike, 25% shop at the farmer's market. Okay, so if you look, we have a two-way table. Because we have bike and no bike going one way, we have farmer's market, no farmer's market going the other way. So those are our two ways. And we have totals on each side of it. All right, so we need to start filling in what we know. It says, of 120 town residents, okay, a poll of 120 town residents found that 40% own a bike. So we have 120 total, 40 of them own a bike. So when I look at bike, so when we're looking at bike, we know that 40% own a bike. So we want 40% of 120. So we can do 0.4 times 120. And when you do that, you would wind up with 48. So we go over here to the total. This is the total of people on a bike, that's 48. And then it says, of those who own a bike, 75% shop at the farmer's market. So 75% of the 48 who own a bike go to the farmer's market. So we can multiply that. When we multiply that, we get 36. So there's 48 people who own a bike, 36 of them go to the farmer's market, and then we can just fill in. If 36 go to the farmer's market, that means 12 do not, because it's not added to 48. Then it says, of those who do not own a bike, 25% shop at the farmer's market. So we know that we have a grand total of 120 residents. If 48 have a bike, that means the leftover 72 do not have a bike. Then of those 72, we know 25% shop at the farmer's market. So 0.25 times 72. When you multiply that, you get 18. So a quarter of them shop at the farmer's market, 18 out of 72, which means 54 out of 72 do not shop at the farmer's market. Then we can get these totals. 36 times 18 is 54. 12 plus 54 is 66. And now our two-way table is complete. So the last part is to look at how we can use a two-way table. Okay. So it tells us to find the relative frequency, okay, which is a ratio, so a fraction. Okay, so the number of times that an event occurs over the total number. Okay, so let's look at what that is. It says 100 teens were polled about whether they are required to do chores and whether they have a curfew. Is there an association between having a curfew and having to do chores? So we're here about the chores. Let's first figure out how many kids have to do chores. So we know 20 kids have to do chores, okay, out of 100 total kids. So 20% of kids do chores. Of those 20% who do chores, 16 have a curfew. So 16 out of 32. So that's 50%. So 50% of the kids who have to do chores also have a curfew. So we can say that there is an association between the two. Like I thought that.